Hello, this hot tip is related to how to extract insights. So, as you start to gather a great deal of information from your potential customer interviews, user interviews, decision makers, etc., as you start to gather all this information, I want to introduce you to a tool that actually helps you to sort through some of the information, what might be a surprising way to extract new insights from your information. So, this really falls into this area of extract valuable insights, look for patterns, and sort of the meta level of your customer information. So what this actually does is it helps to frame it up in the context of their experience. And we call this a journey map. So journey map is a visualization of a person's experience in a way that really showcases the layers of their experience and emotions over time. And the reason that this is really important is because customer experiences drive loyalty and growth. So if we can talk to people, if we can begin to extract what it is that they're telling us and put it in what becomes a visual, like a map, if you will, of what their journey, what their experience is as they attempt to do something over time, we can start to better understand what they do, because really their experience unfolds over time. When they're attempting to do something, there's steps, there's stages, there's things that they need to go through. And so it helps us to visualize that. I'm going to show you a couple journey maps. Now, these aren't necessarily the ones that you'll be producing. These have designers that have kind of put some of them together. But I think the insights around them and the way that certain organizations shifted the way that they looked at their potential customers' experience, I think is insightful. So let's start with this one. This is actually from the Smithsonian Museums in Washington, D.C. This is a summary of visitor moments. So if you worked at a museum, often the way you would think about what happens at a museum, if someone said, we really need to understand our customer's experience, you would think about the museum itself, right? Once they get into the museum, can they find their way around? What is it like? What's the check-in process like? What's the payment process like? What is it that they're attempting to do when they're here? What the Smithsonian did that I think is really interesting is they actually extended outside of their walls. And they said, well, that's how we look at the traveler's experiences once they come into our walls, but actually what happens outside of that. So this is the way that they started to look at it. They started to look at from the time that they're considering coming to the museum, organizing their trip, arriving at the campus, arriving at the building, experience within the building, once they leave the building, once they exit the campus, and then back home. So they really unpacked it through the lens and the experience of the visitors, which doesn't confine itself just to their buildings. And in that, they started to find lots of opportunities. So where is it that they're looking for information to decide maybe whether or not they actually come to the Smithsonian? What's the marketing actually look like that they're looking at? The word of mouth? Where are they looking for guidance and information from? What kinds of resources? What kinds of digital planning tools might there be? Transportation, how does the transportation work? Are they understanding how to get to the museum based on the transportation? And then, of course, some of the things that we might think about once they are inside the museum. And then when they're exiting, when they're getting to the next phase, when they're actually sending their pictures and their experiences out there into the world for other people then to pick up the word of mouth marketing. And you can see the cycle continues. So things like this are great ways to begin to think about your potential customers' experience in really dramatically different ways. Now, I created a customer journey map that's in your packets. And so this is another way of trying to unpack that in a format that you can easily accomplish. So here, for example, this is a journey of a first-time home buyer, for example. When they try to discover and begin to think about buying a home, where they do their research, when they begin to sort of put together and look at what options there are, when they put together an offer and a bid, and when they close. And the things going down the side are actually the experiences that they're having. What are they doing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Any kind of user quotes. This is a visual of their experience. These are positive to negative. So these things that you see are higher are more positive experiences. The areas that are lower are more negative experiences. So it's a way to visualize where they are. And you might say, wow, well, it's not great here as they try to begin doing their research. And it's really bad here when they're trying to actually decide to put an offer on a house and put that together. So maybe these are areas of opportunity if we're in that particular space. And then below are places that you could brainstorm. So you can see really what this starts to do is begin to look at what the possibilities are in quite a different sort of manner. So what I would recommend is, take a look at that and think about why you might use a journey map. What kinds of information might that reveal for you? How might that help you look at your insights in a different way and see something in maybe a fresh way that's not just related to the question that you asked them, that it unpacks a journey of theirs. It helps to build empathy, both for you within your team, but also for others within the organization, and that you might need to kind of convince or bring along in your journey. So to begin to use it, I would say first start with who is it you're working with? What is it that what's the person that you want to try to understand their experience? Set up those high level stages, if you will. They're doing what to doing what. Make sure this is through their experience, not through how you experience it. So it's not just signing up for you, utilizing your service, et cetera, et cetera. That's probably not the confines of their experience. So get inspired by what the Smithsonian Museum did and thinking about the experience in a holistic way through their lens, and then begin to capture the information from it. Now, there's actually a lot of ways to use a journey map. I want to share a few potential possibilities with you. So you can use actually a journey map for both the current state and the future state. So you can show what is the current state of what those potential users, customers, buyers, what have you, are going through, and then what you actually want the future state to be. So this helps to clarify how your future product solution might look different. There's also a high level perspective versus a detailed scope. So that's another way of looking at it. So a high level perspective might be things that go on over the course of many months versus maybe something that happens in the course of, say, a day or even a few hours. So do what level makes the most sense to you. And then there are also ways of looking at kind of an assumption-based journey map versus a research-based journey map. So perhaps you're still gathering your assumptions and kind of tweaking your assumptions. You can create a journey map of what you think these people are experiencing, and then you can show what they actually experienced and look at the difference in what it is that you're learning along the way. So these are great ways to extract insights. Thanks, and happy researching.